Les Foster. I own Governance People, the company that's produced this e-learning course.
And I'm Andy Hodkin from Disability Awareness.
Hi, I'm Robert Duncan, and I work alongside Les. I'm sort of designer, producer for e-learning.
Hello, I'm Carole Quayle and I'm Chairman of Sailing for the Disabled.
I just wanted to do an introduction and get you all to explain what it is you do in this area. So Andy, first of all, what is it you do towards disability awareness?
Yeah, so Disability Awareness is a business that I set up 3 years ago to provide training, consultancy and advocacy on all matters relating to disabilities. It's kind of a part-time venture now. I've got a proper job again working for the Safeguarding Board, but every now and again opportunities like this come up with the invitation from Sailing for the Disabled that are too good to miss.
And Sailing for the Disabled, since that's been mentioned now, we'll come over to Carole. Just explain to us, remind us what Sailing for the Disabled does and the work you do out there.
Okay, if you walk down to Douglas Harbour and stand outside, let me think... stand outside where Nuisance used to be, everybody will know that. Look across into the harbour and look for probably the biggest boat in the harbour, and you will see Sailing for the Disabled's wonderful 48-foot yacht, and it's called Pride of Man 3. The charity has been in existence for over 40 years now. We celebrated that a couple of years ago. And our basic premise is that we offer people with any type of disability the opportunity to go sailing out on that wonderful boat that's down there. The only criteria that we would look at when we decide whether somebody can come sailing with us is purely from a safety issue, not from a disability issue.
So it's as accessible as it gets, really, isn't it? That's
totally accessible. Yeah.
Totally accessible. And well, this is where you two come in, I suppose, because we want to hear more about this initiative and this e-learning course you've put together online. So how can we explain it? What does it look like?
Oh, that's a difficult one. It's actually a mixture. We use AI avatars. For this one, we've not only used the off-the-shelf avatars, we have an avatar of Andy that introduces the course. Andy wrote the course, and then Robert turned Andy's PowerPoint into a living, breathing course with the avatars, with some cartoon effects, etc. So it's sort of avatar-led, guide you through the course, yeah, and challenge people, knowledge check at the end, etc. It's a bit of a living, breathing animal, really, that people can, how can you say, interact with.
Yeah, we're excited about it because I think I'm right in saying I think it's the first Manx specific disability awareness e-learning course on the island. Because normally with kind of e-learning modules that you have, they're usually from the UK, aren't they?
Yes.
And there are subtle differences between the UK and here. So parts of the course, for example, are on legislation, Manx-specific legislation, which is, as you know, slightly different to the UK. But it comes down to the small things, like the graphics we use on the e-learning package include what I can see out the window, the refuge tower of refuge is there. Some of the questions are Manx specific. I think there's a reference to chips, cheese and gravy at one point.
There's
in one of the questions.
The boat, Pride of Man 3 features
the
on
boat
there.
Itself, yeah. So we're proud of that because I think it's important, I think, for us to have our own Manx specific learning.
Identity.
Identity.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really pleased with it, aren't we?
Absolutely thrilled.
This is what we wanted to find out. Is what was it that you saw on the Isle of Man that made you think this is something that's needed right now, especially something that's Isle of Man specific, like you say?
Well, in terms of disability awareness training, it's important for every aspect of life on the Isle of Man. With a charity such as Sailing for the Disabled, which is an amazing charity, and as you say, very, very, very inclusive. Having that option there for e-learning, for new volunteers, for new members, provides a really strong platform for them, I think, or pontoon for them, should I say?
Oh, very good.
In terms of making a good start with the work that they're doing. I think a lot of, when it comes to working with people with disabilities, people have unneeded anxieties sometimes about the approach that they make, because I often think people are worried about getting things wrong and therefore don't always engage in the way that they would, in a way that they feel comfortable with. And what this training does is enables people to kind of feel safe and secure in the approaches that they have with people with disabilities. Because one of the things that we're really keen on implementing and having as a base really for the online training is that everybody is unique, everybody has different needs regardless of whether they have a disability or not. So it's a universal approach that we're kind of applying in the training that we're doing, which I think applies to everybody in terms of communication and connection.
Can I just add in here as well? Bravo, Andy, everything that you've said. And I'd just like to add in that our previous disability awareness training was classroom-based and boat-based. And that sometimes threw up a bit of a delay for people who were joining us until we had a cohort. Whereas now we've transitioned to online training, it means that as soon as a volunteer joins our charity to become a crew member, they can access the online training. And so now the requirement is that's built in now to our joining process, and people have to have completed that before they set foot on the boat. So that's a massive advantage as well.
And it is just the first part of an induction for a volunteer as well.
Oh, yes.
So it's not removing that in-person aspect of teaching and learning. So the online bit will be the first bit that people do, but then there'll be an actual induction on the boat, won't there, in terms of the processes there. So we're not replacing that in-person aspect of it, we're just kind of adding to it, really.
Yeah.
And like you say, it makes it a much speedier process for people to actually get involved, doesn't it?
And safer, much safer.
And so coming up to the new year, we're looking at the launch, aren't we, now? So can you tell us a bit more about the development and your role in this?
Yeah, I mean, just to sort of really reinforce what both Carole and Andy have sort of been saying, really, is that it's been a logical step to sort of break down more barriers and sort of make it a lot more, sort of accessible, a lot more, or a lot easier for prospective volunteers to get an idea of what Sailing for the Disabled's about, and it's sort of just opened it up a lot more, I think, really. And with a lot of the new sort of technology that we're using, it's given us the opportunity to do that, both from sort of our perspective of sort of producing e-learning and from the guys' perspective as too. So,
and I'll open this question up to the whole group. When it comes to the promotion of rights and opportunities for our disabled community here on the Isle of Man, what do you hope this online course will do in the year ahead, and where do you see us as a community on the Isle of Man in terms of in that respect? Are we progressive enough? Do we need to be doing more to promote rights and opportunities for disabled people here?
That's a good question. I would say that there's lots more that needs to be done. In many ways, the Isle of Man is a really progressive nation in terms of inclusivity. In terms of the disabled community here, which I believe is more fully involved in society than other areas, and I think partly that's because it's a safer place to be. So it's a safer place for people with learning disabilities and neurodivergence in particular to be part of society. However, there's lots of things that can be improved, and I'm hopeful that developing an e-learning package like this might encourage other organisations to develop them themselves. So the one that we've done for Sailing for the Disabled is very specific to that organisation, but the messages that we have in that training are kind of universal, in terms of approach. So we look at things like communication. We look at small areas like safeguarding, boundaries, consent. We look at things like supporting parents and carers. All of these things are universal in the sense in terms of how organisations, companies, charities can support people with disabilities. So the hope would be that people might see it, maybe have a go with it and think to themselves, oh, this is something that we could do, this is something that we could develop for ourselves. So that would be a great thing that could happen, I think.
You were saying, do we think that there is room for improvement on the island? And I just have a one-word answer to that, and that's always. My working background was in healthcare, so I have experience for most of my life with people with disabilities. And I can see there's been a massive improvement over a lot of years, but there's always further to go. And at Sailing for the Disabled, we are mindful of this every time we go out sailing, every time that boat leaves the harbour, Douglas Harbour. Everything is continuously assessed because we have different sailors aboard every time. And all of this should be passing back into our Manx society. And it is, to a degree, but we can all work harder.
Yeah, I mean, one of the bigger concerns that the disabled community have is isolation, social isolation, loneliness at times. There are clubs and activities and services that are not particularly accessible to people with disabilities, which is why something like Sailing for the Disabled is so important, because it provides access to brilliant activities such as sailing that otherwise they probably wouldn't be able to access. So yeah, there is as you say, there's always room for improvement. We are going in the right direction. There's still a long way to go, but I think charities like Sailing for the Disabled are at the forefront of kind of promoting that change and challenging that change that needs to happen.
And so are you, Lewis, and so is Manx Radio, by offering this opportunity to talk about what we're doing.
Is that where it starts? Does it start with that conversation? And for any individuals that are out there, because of course we're talking about an online awareness training package. For any individual who's perhaps not affiliated with a business but just thinks, I would like to expand my own personal awareness about the disabled community on the Isle of Man, how do you reach out to them? What would you say to them?
There are charities available. There are some excellent third sector organisations such as Manx MenCap, Autism in Man, Riding for the Disabled is another excellent charity as well. I guess my advice would be to reach out to those charities, get in touch with them. They'll all be welcoming, whether or not you kind of want to be involved or whether you just want to have a bit more information. They would all be welcoming organisations. We have an autism strategy that was launched 3 years ago now, and they're doing that strategy is kind of highlighting a lot of things for people with neurodivergence in terms of improvements that can be made. There's a website now, or the section of the government's website, which tells you all the organisations that are involved in the neurodivergent world, for example. So there's lots of people to get in touch with. There's lots of stuff happening on the Isle of Man. It's finding it, really, isn't it?
Just a couple of things which I would like to mention. And one of them is, the first one is, this whole training, the online training, has been made possible by a very generous grant from the Manx Lottery Trust Community Fund, which was awarded to us back in April. And they are absolutely staunch supporters of Sailing for the Disabled. They've helped us many times. They funded the development of a brand new website for us last year. So we're dragging the tech up, up to date. We'll do that. And the other thing I must mention, because he hasn't, Les is sitting here from Governance People, have provided us with this absolutely bespoke, fabulous programme, free of charge.
Wow. That's fantastic. Why did you take that decision to provide that free of charge?
We developed the website that Julie mentioned. We have a web agency, and that was done as a commercial project. But in the subsequent meetings with Julie, etc., we just naturally had that conversation that, they could really need some help.
Right.
So e-learning platforms and courses is what we do. Normally we work with banks and professional organisations. It's always nice to give a little bit back.
Sure. Excellent, people. I think that wraps my line of questions. Just finally as well, if we could go back to that, where can people find this then?
So it'll be on the Sailing for the Disabled website. It's accessible if you want to volunteer with Sailing for the Disabled. You'll be getting in touch with them, and then the course becomes accessible to them in that way. Is that
That's
right, Carole?
Yeah. They will be given a link by Jude Starkey, who has taken over the role of our Disability Awareness Lead. So that will happen, and that will be early in the new year.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.